We're here for the 100th show. And I keep giving the story when I had the first four shows. I didn't even know I'll make it to 10. In fact, before I had the show, I didn't think I would make it to the first one. I was in Mr. Backus's office and he was like, all right, so you're going to do a show? I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to do a show. He said, what's it going to be? I was like, I think it's going to be all in good news. Okay, send me a draft of what you want to be doing and we'll see what we can do. And I sent him the draft and he was like, okay, you ready to start next week? And I'm like, no, I'm not ready to start next week. He said, no, you're going to start next week. And believe it or not, I started the next week. Super nervous. Thank you to Kimon Archibald Lake for being my first guest at the time 2 years ago. And 100 episodes later, Kimon was my first. 100 episodes later, I am here again. You know, so over the years, you know, we had people like Conris Maynard on the show. You know, he engaged in some extempo calypso. We had John L. Powell. We had some lovely banter. We had EK at some point where we had a skit. Sugar Bowl and I had a skit also. Socrates. We had a little extempo session. Tivana, when she was here, actually had an icebreaker with her daughter. Literally, we brought ice into the studio and they broke ice. I mean, we had before PMs and after PMs. Meaning we've had Dr. Drew before he was a PM. And we've had a deputy PM, Sean Richards at the time. Was he still a deputy PM? I think he was on his way out. He had been technically given the boot. I think we had him before. I didn't think we had him after. Yeah, it was before. I'm still waiting to get a PM on my show, you know. I remember when Dr. Timothy Harris was in power. I tried to get him on. That didn't happen. Dr. Drew, I mean, listen, like, Camera One, like, you know, you had some good news this week, man. When you said in the House of Assembly, I have good news, I was like, yes, that's good. You should come and do it on my show. Like, when you have good news, you come and do it on my show so we get good views. Good news begets good views, and no views and no views. Okay? So, I mean, you had a lovely session, and, you know, just come and just listen. We have my fellow citizens and residents. No, that's the old one, right? I don't even know his moniker right now, but come on, man. You can just come in here and give us some good news. But anyway, he did say he wants to come back on the show. This is the day after he won, and we've had a whole year since then. Anyway, listen, it was good to have all of these 99 episodes. Some were repeat guests, and some guests were just me. Some of my guests were, it was amazing. And so thank you to everybody. My students are supposed to tune in tonight because they're going to have to answer some questions about my guest because she's talking about tech and everything. So I hope they're tuning in tonight. So let me make sure I get the live link and they can actually partake in the views and the discussion. All right. Now, so let me see. Let me share the live. Let me share it. More options. Where's the link? Okay. Copy it and paste it in the chat. Where is it? Share the live. And I'm also letting my guest know that she can share it. Just bear with me. And one more unit 2 pure mats. Nope. Infotech. Information technology. You guys have told me you want to watch the show. All right. So as always, we normally start off and kick off with good news. And so we are kicking off with news, good stuff that's happening just in the region, just in St. Kitts. We're not going anywhere else. So starting with the Independence Parade, man. Listen, that was a parade for the ages. I mean, the 40th anniversary was simply amazing. I remember I took my daughter, took her sister there, and at first they were bored. And I was really literally giving the running commentary of what was going on because I've been there before. But kudos to the authorities for keeping it in the night this year because we would have many people fainting. I've seen that happen before. I've actually fainted before. Not on the parade, but, you know, during military training and all that kind of stuff. But it was great. St. Kitts has a lot of important people. When I saw that huge convoy of different cars, black cars, red cars, gray cars, white buses, black buses, long buses, short buses, everybody just coming out, important people and sirens and everything. It was really great. And, you know, two highlights was the Taiwanese army marching drill thingamajig that they put us to shame. I'm like, guys, why did you guys have to do that? Why did you guys have to do that? They were extremely entertaining, especially with the PA system. Kudos to whoever who put up that sound system at Warner Park that was literally capturing the voices of the soldiers giving the commands and just everything. So I was next to a speaker and I could actually feel the energy. And when the Taiwanese section came on and they were playing the music loud and everything, it was really, really good. But the big highlight was the drone show. They actually had 3 of the students from the Robotic Association partner with them. So Kititians benefited from that show. And I can't wait to see what can come from the nuggets of knowledge that they would have garnered from that collab. But the drone show was amazing. We were there till pretty much 3 o'clock in the morning. My daughter was super sleepy and grumpy for a while. But when we were on the road marching, she perked up and was just excited. So kudos to them. It was a really, really good experience. All right, so that's it for those highlights. And other good news that happened in St. Kitts this past week. I remember back in Nigeria, I had this dog. His name was Prince. Prince did not like the house, didn't like going inside the house. And so Prince typically never really liked going inside the house. There was a day my dad forgot to lock the door. And Prince decided to go in the house. I kid you not. Prince went in the house and closed the door and just sat down by the door until dad came back home. Now, there's a similar story here where a dog, I think it was on Sunday or Monday, I can't remember, saved, the dog's name is Teddy, alerted the owner of a fire. Now, apparently Teddy's very annoying. And so Teddy was acting strange to the owner, coming, barking, acting all weird. And the owner's like, what are you doing? Like, stop being your annoying self. And it turned out that Teddy was trying to alert the owner that there was a fire in the house. And with that early detection system, Teddy needs to go and work at the fire fighting services. With that early detection system, the fire was abated very quickly. That was an early detection system, early warning system. So kudos to Teddy. Teddy needs some treats. So if you guys want to give Teddy some treats, hit up Model Cop Shack on Facebook and find out who the person is to give the treats to. All right. Next piece of good news. I partook in this Facebook thread. Carissa Roberts, she's turning, I think, 25 this week or this month. I don't know. But she put up a post and she was like, if you could bring back a restaurant that's no longer in existence, what would it be? My gosh. And people answered. People said pizza place. Someone said Ballyhoo restaurant, Stonewalls. People said pizza place. And I decided to put up, and this one garnered some emotional knee-jerk responses. And Jamsa, you're going to remember this. Dyson's Wings and Festivals. Huh. There was something, on a Saturday night when you finish choir practice at the Adventist church and you just want to go and get a lovely, and the sauce, it was just perfect. It was just perfect. And so, man, people like Darian Friend was like, yo, you struck a nerve. Or somebody else was like, man, seen this before I comment. And yes, it definitely struck a nerve. Yeah, Dyson's Wings and Festivals. I have no idea what was in that sauce, but it was amazing. All right. Other piece of good news. There's a storm coming up of Africa, but it's not coming here. I think not. I'm not the weatherman, but there's a nasty storm that's going to be a Category 5 that appears as of now to veer to the north just before it reaches us. Now, we have this lot of heat that we're experiencing now, and part of why we are getting these storms veering off is because there's a high pressure heat dome that is literally pushing those storms away. So please don't complain about the heat so much. It's protecting us. It's like the invisible hand of God protecting us. Oh, the rain was great, and I think we're going to get a little bit more rain next couple days. And we were supposed to get some rain earlier this evening. I'm not sure that happened. All right, next piece of good news. An MOU was signed between the St. Kitts government and Southern University in Louisiana. This is a big deal because basically students from St. Kitts pursuing an undergrad or graduate degree programs basically they'll accept credits from CFB College, which will reduce the amount of time spent studying and ultimately reduces the cost. So these MOUs are great. And as a teacher, I'm very happy to say this because now my students have something more to even push for to pass my course, all my courses, because credits can be transferred over. That way you don't have to go back and do things that you already know. What is it like paying someone to teach you something that you already know? That's not making any sense. I would never do that just to get a piece of paper. No. All right, coming up this month, Men in Aprons. That's happening, I believe, on the 23rd of September. Come on, man. Gates open at 12 p.m. Are you curious? No, man, this thing should be in the night. And the cook-off challenge is at 5 p.m. Okay, great. I don't understand. Gates open at 12 p.m. I'm not even sure. But anyway, the judges are Honorable Matt Brantley, Stacey Hobson, Junie Liebert, O'Keefe Marshall, and DJ Sparry. All right? Men in Aprons. DJ Sparry. Sparry. I don't know. All right, next one. There's a senior prom coming. Seniors prom, like old people. So the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Aging and Disabilities is having senior prom, which is happening on the 27th of October in, I think, at the Marriott. So old people get to dress up and feel young again. I like what they're doing for the old people. Old people need love too. And I think this next week, I believe Saturday night, there's a Land of the Free Independence concert. I have played on one of these before, years ago, donkey years ago. But we see that Damien Jr. Gong Marley is going to be coming. And I think this is going to be a good show with lots of our local artists being featured. And yeah, I think that's it for my top stories. I don't have any more good news to report because the only piece of good news that I have is that my guest is going to be lit. All right. So I believe she's on the Zoom. Is she on the Zoom? She's not on the Zoom yet. Let me message her and tell her, please come on the Zoom because I think she should come on the Zoom. Ready for you. Let me message her. All right. So that's it. I mean, for me, what else has been going good? My classes have been going great. My students have really energized me. I love them. They seem to be getting the subject material very well. And we are learning very fast. And so it sounds like they're going to all get ones and maybe some twos. They're going to be on the ones and the twos. That's all I want, my students to be DJs on the ones and the twos. On that dry joke, we will take a little break and and we will be back with my guest. I hope my students are listening because they're going to have to write about this, you know.
Oh my.
Best late entry of the century. Braga. Yo, I'm not going no small fet. Let me extend my apologies. Only big fet with big flag going overhead like canopy. Rag in my back pocket with a white vest, sneakers and wallabies. Nice
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Okay. And we're back. We are back. I see my student is listening. Tonshe, yes, she's a very good student. And so we will begin the conversation when I see my guest. She's not too happy that she can't see me. I think she wants to feel the energy.
Please, you know I'm an energy person now.
I'm going to be able to see her on the tubes. On the tube. So if you want to see me have a live, put up your phone and see, but you're going to see a bit of a delay response. But anyway, it looks like she's here. Is she here? Is she streaming? In 5,
I am here. I hope.
4, 3, 2, 1. He's telling me to wait.
I hope you can see
I
me.
need to wait. Okay. All right. Let me just continue banging my mouth about my students that I'm very proud of because I gave them a review to do on tech, and you could see these people talking about lovely things in technology, presenting them in ways that I can't even present very well in, like animations with PowerPoint. And yeah, then I had them do another one about timelines, about data storage, and you can see what they submitted. It's just been remarkable to see these students get. You asking me to find out if she's here? Yeah. Oh,
Blaze
virtue.
trend, set your own
I
trend.
like that. Right. So, by the way, I'm not seeing. My guests are not seeing. Oh, he's working on it.
Me?
Okay, just making sure he's working on it so we could all see you. Okay, so first of all, what's in a name? Your name is very unique, and I want to know if that is your name, or because I've never heard anyone with that name before. So, what's the story behind your name?
So my name's Psyche. It comes or originates in Greek mythology. My grandfather was very much into Greek mythology. So all of my aunts and uncles have names like this. My mother's name was Clytie Admita Psyche Isilma Southwell. So I'm actually named after her.
Wow.
So I'm the second Psyche in our family. And she wanted to name me after herself. And of course, I have the initials. My mother was a daddy's girl, so she gave me the initials of her father. So my name is C.A. Psyche Southwell. So Candice is my first name. But Psyche has always been my given name and the name that I've gone by through school and everything. Of course, only after 9/11, you had to use the legal first name on your documents to travel and do things like that. But yeah, Psyche is my legal name. It means the soul or the mind, by the way.
Do you know anyone else in St. Kitts with that name?
Yeah. There's another young woman up the village as well too, whose name is Psyche. I think she was named after my mother. And I knew one other Psyche when I was in high school as well too. But usually that's not a name I ever encounter just out in the wild.
No, that's amazing. So I am very interested with people with unique names. There always will be. I've had my fair share of people poking fun at my name. Did you ever encounter anything or jokes that was?
Are you kidding me?
Like
you know where I was born and raised.
Okay.
I have been called it all. Psycho, psychotic, psychic.
Oh.
It's all love. Nothing phases me anymore. There's like nothing you could say. No deviation on my name that would phase me, not even for a second.
Okay. So you own your own truth.
Yeah.
There's nothing that anyone can say to you that you haven't already heard. But was there any time where it was like, I can't deal with this, or you were just always just strong?
No. Well, I can't say I'm just always strong, right? Things may have affected me at some point, but the thing is, I loved my name, and then my mother kind of instilled that love for that name. So it was something that I was proud of, and in some ways kind of grew into in a lot of ways.
Okay. I think my producers are saying that we should be able to see you now. I'm not seeing it yet, but we will.
I should check out the stream myself.
Yeah.
Make sure my stuff is down.
Yeah. Okay, I can see you. Yes, you're looking lit.
You're cheating because I can't see.
Girl, just put your phone on.
I need that E energy. I will.
Put your phone on, and then that's what I'm doing because I'm seeing you. Yeah, girl, she's glowing. She's glowing. Her lips are shining. Right? Let me just describe her to the people who are on the radio. Her lips are shining. Her hair is cut this. What's the name of the person who used to wear their hair short back in the day? Vintage singer. I can't remember. Oh my gosh.
Which one?
There's one of them. I can't remember. Is that Anita Baker? I don't know. There's one of them. I can't remember. But yeah, Toni Braxton. Thank you. Right? She has that going.
Toni, okay.
And she has a black and white sweater on. Yeah, but she's as expected, a fashion person. So thank you. I like to see that. So your accent, man, is still very Kittitian. Is that 100% or do you code switch?
What? First of all, code switching, I don't even like that term, okay?
Okay.
And I'll tell you why.
Why?
It's important sometimes that we understand where words originated. Because it always caused me a kind of an angst. And code switching really emerged out of discussions when Black people in the US found themselves in predominantly white institutions, like educational institutions, and also in predominantly white workspaces. And they felt like they had to assimilate to the white man's language so that it won't get stereotyped. So I prefer to use the term multilingual. On
Okay,
any given day. I
you're
speak a lot of different languages because that comes from a strength perspective and it's not deficit. So yes, if I'm in St. Kitts and I need to connect with my people, I'm going to speak dialect. Could I completely tone my dialect down if I'm having a meeting with a customer who needs to not be distracted by my accents? Absolutely. Accents are only about literally the shape your mouth makes. I know how to flip that.
how
But yeah,
what
I ain't code switching.
okay,
We're
okay.
multilingual.
Okay, so Psyche, I want you to do
Yes.
something for me,
Yes,
right?
sir.
I want you to say
Yes.
the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plane in Kitishan, and then
You ain't gonna have me doing no tongue twisters tonight, man. I know this is your show at all, but come on.
I'll just play, man. But for real, like I listen. When I was in the U.S., yes, when I was fresh off the boat, okay, and people didn't understand my Nigerian accent, and so I did find myself having to assimilate some of their lingo until I was being made fun of because I just couldn't understand. They were like full. Like what's full? No, that's four. I'm like, really? You know, stuff like that. So, but I did learn the way of that style of communication, and
Yeah.
but at the same time, if you see me with anybody who's Nigerian, like my Nigerian accent will come out very, very easily. And if I am given a presentation, actually I do voiceovers too, and there's a next different, hello, you've reached a voicemail of, you know, that kind of different
Okay.
change. Or sometimes if one of my buddies does not want his girl to call him, he can just give me his phone and I'll say, message G3100, the subscriber you are trying to reach is not available. Please check the number and try again. This is a recording. Message G3100.
Wow. Okay, you are good. You have mastered that to a T.
Sweet. So you've been on TV, US TV. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Which one of the TVs was it? Flat screen or cathode ray?
You are the tonight, eh? On a roll. So I've done a few segments. I've done a lot, largely like fashion segments. Both like my local NBC. I've done like a tap in thing with the Today Show in New York around like the Red Book cover that I had won, position on several years ago in like 2015. And now I actually do a recurrent tech segment on my local CBS station. So I did one on ChatGPT a week ago, and now I'm doing one next week. We're doing the iPhone 15.
Girl,
should you get it? Should you not?
my students are writing on one of those phones actually this coming week.
Oh, how fun!
Yes,
I'll send you the link. We go live on Tuesday.
Yes, it's more than enough time. Actually, no, they're presenting on. Are they present? Guys, get on the link. You guys tell me when you're supposed to present. Is it Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday? I don't know. But that's great. And I just taught them how to do data analysis using ChatGPT. So I had them literally create sample data in areas that they want to learn stuff about. And this is more or less like creating databases and stuff. And data mining and data analysis using ChatGPT using the prompts. And they were definitely impressed and amazed. And I'm saying, listen, this is your friend. But also use your brain too, huh? Use human intelligence in conjunction with artificial intelligence. All right, so let's go back to your early moments back here in St. Kitts, because you were born here, right?
Born and raised.
Born and raised. So where were you born? Where you from?
Village, man, village.
Oh, you're village.
Oh, the village.
Village,
yes,
sweet.
Yes, I am village.
So that means you went to village school?
I did not go to village school. I went to Epworth, so Morris Hillier Memorial Junior School. Proud grad up there. Yes,
sweet.
sir.
Do they have like a monument of you or a statue yet?
Not yet. I'm going to tell them you said they need to get one.
Yes, because you're a trail. In fact, yours should have like ceiling shattering, and then a trail behind, and with like your trail, like to show that you literally have just blazed that trail, and then you ascended with your hard head to shatter that glass.
Alrighty then. I did get a chance to speak with some of my old teachers like after the lecture, and I just didn't get an opportunity to visit the school, but I will make sure I do that from now on whenever I visit, because I had some really good times there, and have some lifelong friends that I made right at Epworth.
So what did you get in trouble for with often? Yeah.
What did I get in trouble for? Gosh, look, I grew up, I was the only girl for a long time in my family. So I used to be out here running rough and rugged with the boys.
Good.
So falling, I got like the groups and like all kinds of things, like just falling, getting injured. That was me. I was rough and tough playing with the boys out in the streets for hours and hours at the evenings. So that was me when I was smaller.
Did you get in trouble for that, or you were just liberal? Your family was liberal, saying like, just go ahead.
Probably get in trouble. I would probably get in trouble for coming home looking real filthy, real filthy in my yard clothes.
But I mean,
You ain't know nothing about that.
but no, man, my daughter loves dirt. She loves sticks. She loves bugs. She's very similar. She wants to climb trees. She wants to be in nature. And I say, go ahead, do it. And even though she gets her
telling you.
cuts and her bruises, she's like, but Dad, I had fun. You know, that's it. She's like, but
There you
Dad,
go.
it's not that
Exactly.
serious. I'm gonna
Right,
fall.
and
Right. I'm like, yes, you go, girl.
And she's outside. She's
Yes.
outside.
She's
Kids don't do enough of that these days.
outside again. There's a song about that.
Yes, I know.
So,
And where did that come from?
uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Masters to the world.
Mm-hmm. So I want to know, right? Family seems to be a big deal, just based on what you just spoke about. You had brothers, and how did that influence your upbringing? That close knit with your family, besides being playing in the street and all that kind of stuff, getting bruised and
So
cut.
I was like an only child of my mom's, but I had cousins around me. So that was just an amazing experience growing up. And like, I'm glad you said brothers, because all of my cousins are like my brothers, and that's how we were raised. So that's how close we are, and that's how protective they are of me to this day. So yeah, that was really important to me, having those connections and maintaining those connections like over my entire life.
So what values were strongly instilled as you were growing up? Those ones that, yeah, they stuck.
Ooh. I would say empathy and compassion. My mother was a very caring person, and I grew up really close with my grandmother as well, Gladys Southwell, and she just had so much compassion and empathy for people around her. So I couldn't help but inherit that kind of thing. Also, just a really hard work ethic. My mother was a really hard worker, and so was my grandmother and the people I worked around. And another one I would say is independence. My mother always encouraged me to be an independent thinker. So trailing or blazing a trail like I have done wouldn't be a surprise to her, even though it would have surprised me. She set those kinds of expectations for her daughter. So that was like a really important one as well too.
So, as we know, people, when they get in these family settings and they're trying to instill values, there's some that stick and there's some that don't. Which ones did they try to instill that it ain't stick? Yeah, by the time you get broke out, which one?
You asked some good questions. But you know, I named the ones that stuck. Let me see if I could remember what's another one. I don't know. I would call that necessarily a value, but there were some expectations sometimes like set for my life. Even from my grandmother. You've heard me talk like in my lecture about the expectations around 3 career paths. I know my grandmother was really big about me becoming like a doctor, and like bless her heart, she wanted better for her offspring.
Yes.
And that was what she saw. So that's what she placed on me. And I can stand confident right now and say she would be proud of the path that I ended up taking, because it's not something she could have envisioned then, but she would love now. So I would say that was one where I was like, no way I could become, and I mean a medical doctor. That was like a hell to the no.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot of school time, a lot of years, and I can't do that. So,
And it's like the blood and the other part. So medicine, I just couldn't do it.
No.
Yeah.
So you, at some point, you went to the U.S., right?
I did.
Why the U.S. as opposed to somewhere else?
That's a good question. When I started working at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank after sixth form / CFBC, I got to spend one-on-one at high school, senior high school, and then my last year in CFBC, we were the first cohort to graduate there. And I was at ECCB, and I think I was thinking about that time, like, oh, what would I do next? I didn't really have a plan. It had only been 6 months since I had been done with school, and the opportunity was presented to me. So I was, I think, a part of the very first cohort of students that was sent on the government-sponsored program to Midwestern State University. I heard you in your opening talk about an MOU with, like, I think it's SU in Louisiana. So we had a relationship with Midwestern State University that allowed for all of our students to only be charged in-state tuition, which is a huge burden off of you. And then we also got some like Good Neighbor scholarships and fellowships, and could apply for additional fellowships. So it wasn't a full ride. I had to take a loan from Development Bank like everybody else that went there. But it was something that was presented to me, kind of fell in my lap, had to move really quickly as well too. I would say it was like in the fall, and when I'm saying fall, sometime maybe in October, November, we found out about the opportunity, and they wanted people who could turn around really quickly. And I started on January 1st. I left St. Kitts rather on January 1st, 1998, long time ago, to go to Midwestern State University. And that started the journey, in the US. I probably would have considered going to like a university within the Caribbean, but this one is something that came first, and I'm happy with the path I was able to take because of it.
So that means that we went to school similarly around the same time.
Yeah.
I went to university
Really?
in 2000. I graduated from secondary school in 1990.
Okay.
So
I thought you were a baby. I thought you were like way younger than me.
I don't know. I don't know how old you are. I don't know how, and you don't know how old I am. Okay, I'm 41. All right.
That's true. Okay. I turned 45 next month.
So I'm still a baby. We're both peas in a pod.
There you go.
So let me tell you something. My undergraduate years shaped me to a certain extent. In fact, they definitely shaped me. So I want to know, school life as an undergrad, what part of your personality do you feel is rooted in those years, those 4 or 5 years at Midwestern that you would have?
Gosh, it's so funny. So I spent 2.5 years at Midwestern State University, and I'll tell you why I graduated so quickly. So
CFP.
I went to CFB, right? And, at that point, we didn't have the kind of relationship with that university, or I'm assuming they get an associate's degree or something like that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure. But we didn't get credit for that work. And I got there, I'm like, the hell? I'm not doing these basic math classes after I just passed advanced level math.
Yep.
So I started testing out of courses, or just taking heavy overloads like in the summertime. And to me, it was easy at the time. So that's how I also did this placement test and got to score really high on it. So I got to opt out of a ton of classes. So I got a tech credit that helped me expedite that process. With that said, because I went to Midwestern State University as part of a Caribbean students organization, and I hooked up with people from Grenada, not Jamaica, Dominica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, like all of the Eastern Caribbean like islands, St. Lucia. So it was such a good melting pot for us. So it was like we were in a little Caribbean in a larger, predominantly white institution. So it was an amazing experience. We had carnival on campus.
What?
So culture was really rich for us. We got to live off campus, so I never had to do that whole like dorm life thing. It was a really good program. So I think what I found in college was kind of this is where I really got to spread my wings and really just experiment and explore my independence without being under the microscope of living in St. Kitts or my family name. So that was important for me, for my own growth. So I got involved with a ton of things like student government. There I was with, I got to work on campus as part of like an assistant in that Caribbean student organization. So I got experience with leadership. I think one year I did like model OAS, and I won like the big award for like the economics committee. And so I got to really experiment with all these different facets. You heard Dr. Drew say I used to be quiet in school. I'm definitely still would consider myself an introvert, but I think communication is you're only as good as you can communicate. And I learned that really quickly. So I would say leadership, and I got to really come out of my shell in undergrad.
I love that recount. In my undergrad, one of the things that really stood out to me was social justice, because I was a graduate assistant at the Office of Multicultural Student Affairs. And
Awesome.
I used to put on lots of those workshops, and social justice and equity and all of those things. I was ignorant to a lot of those things, and I learned to embrace differences a lot more as a result of that education. And I will never exchange that for anything else, because I'm a lot more understanding and I have a lot more empathy for people who are different from who I am. So yeah,
That's amazing.
we are on a similar
Amazing.
trajectory.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
let me tell you something, right? Um, you 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 spoke about um your first degree. It was like economy or economics or something like that, right?
Economics. Yep.
Is that why you went into economy of style afterwards? But
Oh, absolutely. 100%. My background is in economics, and I started to think about ways we could apply the concepts I was learning to fashion and style. And to answer this question, like, how does a woman who has a wide range in tastes maximize her preferences, but even a very limited budget? So that is a very economic approach to style and fashion. So that's what motivated the name. That's what motivated a lot of my early writings on that blog. And then it just kind of branched out and grew from there. But yeah, the economy of style was definitely deliberate and based on my interest in economics at the time.
I like that. Me and you, our energies are synergic at this point, and you
Love
can
it.
tell that.
Love it.
And I can tell you that with my daughter, I put up a post, I think last year. I create these things called Ease Truths. I think I will have about 50 of them. And one of them was do not create the habit of always putting your little girls to wear something new when there's something coming up. Because you can always go back in the closet and actually find something. Like I, that is the school of thought that I come from, and thankfully she is of that same mindset. And she's like, "Daddy, just pick up. It's not that serious." That's what she tell me. Dad, it's just it's just a or it's just a She's not coming to say, "Daddy, I need something new." And I'm saying like, yes, she's gonna save so much money as an adult.
And she can be so much creative when she shops her closet and remixes things
That's
and
what she does.
refashions
That's what she
like
does.
clothing. Yeah,
So
there's beauty in that.
I love it. So you are in a field that is very difficult to break into. I need to know what was your formula, because you're successful. The people who are trying to break into the fashion blogging sphere, and you again, your head, that hard head of yours, it's shattering signals, right? So what was your formula?
Add value. So
say it for the people in the back again. Add value.
Add value, and think about your audience. Of course, be motivated by what it is that you're doing and have a passion for that. But you got to make sure you're thinking about your audience and you're providing value. So it's about being temporal with that. Like when I started, blogs were beginning to become popular, and even Black blogs were beginning to grow as well too. But they focused very heavily on the kind of like urban and street style. But I was an academic or a young academic at that time, and mine was very different. So I started showcasing that, and that resonated with women. So there's enough out there. There are a lot of people in the world that someone is going to resonate with your true self when that's what you show, if it's valuable to them. So that's what I did. That was kind of what I did. That's all. And it just grew iteratively over time. Of course, I had some huge wins along the way. Like I randomly, in some ways, entered a competition in 2015 with the Red Book magazine that landed me on the cover of their September issue, which is the most significant issue for the fashion world, right? That entire industry. So it got me a lot of press and a lot of attention, and it took my blog from like to there almost overnight. So that was a huge kind of like milestone moment for me in that world.
What additional doors did that open for you?
God, brands, big drop. Brands.
No, name drop.
Dove was like a huge sponsor of that. So they were a huge sponsor of mine for years after that. Getting into being in other magazines like Cosmopolitan, and even just the network and connections I made. For example, there was a junior editor who interviewed me when I won the Red Book magazine cover feature. She later then became the editor of Good Housekeeping. So she needed to do a spread on cities across the country in the US. So she's like, oh, I know somebody in St. Louis. So she reached out. The Kitchen, by the way, living in St. Louis, to write a piece on St. Louis, which featured my original photography and all of my favorite places. And I got to curate the entire page in a magazine. You know how hard that is to get access to do, but it was a connection I made. She remembered me. We connected then. She later became bigger, and then she called on me. So sometimes network building is really crucial as well.
Wow. You are a good step. You're a good person for people to know. And my students, I hope
Okay.
you're listening. I hope you're listening. I hope
Hi,
your students are
students.
listening. I hope they're listening. I know at least one of them said they was listening, but you are really showing that a lot of things that they're going to have to talk about when I see them next week. So, you did something, again, like I said, this energy is organic because just as you dived into tech, I did the same thing. When I went for my master's in telecoms and networking, I knew nothing about tech. I dove into it to challenge myself and to make more money. What was your motivation to dive into becoming a full stack developer after doing this
Yeah.
fashion blogging stuff? Like, what was it?
It was multidimensional.
Okay.
So I've always been interested in that world. It never presented itself as a real opportunity for me. So I'd always kind of stayed on the sidelines of that. I'm very techie in a lot of ways. Like I taught myself photography. I'm into like cameras. I got a little bit like into hardware, like working with like MacBooks and things like that. And I built my own website. And then I depended, of course, social media platforms came and became really big. So that became a huge part of that entire like fashion world. So then we have Instagram, and there's all this talk about this algorithm that affects how you get access and who gets access to your content. So all of those kinds of things like piqued my interest. But it wasn't until really like the pandemic when things really just slowed down and I had a lot of time on my hands. I was also healing and grieving from like the sudden loss of my mother. So I'm just like thinking about like what the heck is the meaning of life? What do I want to do now? Why should I waste time? And I happened to encounter a Black woman who had a very similar background to mine, did not study computer science, and she talked about the path she took to actually break into the tech industry. And that's when I realized, oh, this is actually possible. So she was self-taught. I started dabbling and I decided to go the bootcamp route. So I paid for a boot camp for two reasons. I wanted to work specifically with an instructor who could tell me, because after you do a crash course for 12 weeks, there's no way you learn everything you need to know to do really anything.
Right.
So I needed you to tell me what I need to know as a baseline to get in the door.
Yeah.
And also boot camps have really tight networks where their students can go into programs that can nurture them to become really good full stack engineers. I got fortunate after I graduated from that bootcamp, and I got an opportunity to get in with a local startup here in St. Louis. And it's been the best decision rather,
That's
that
Contact?
I've ever made. No, that was Capacity.
Capacity,
is like a chat GPT, but we did internal knowledge. So we connected to things like your CRM or your internal like database. So not an open AI powered like chatbot. So internal, and that was the thing I built. And that was actually the position I took, was an apps integration specialist. So I just worked with APIs all day long and converted like the response bodies of APIs to do the things that the company actually wanted it to do. And the point at the beginning was to actually just get that job and then transition, to a back end job. I found out very quickly that I like back end work more so than like front end work. But then I got there, and we also had these troubleshooting like sessions, and the VP of customer success at the time started noticing like, oh, people are always trying to pull me into calls. And the reason why customers were pulling me into calls is because a lot of our customers just did not have dedicated like tech teams. And I could go in when they were having trouble and explain very technical topics to them, but make it relatable and understandable. So they were like, after 3 months, they were like, you're really good at this. We need permanency in this team, because all of a sudden, like, contracts were moving quickly and deployments were going into prod very quickly, because I could kind of move the needle by, translating what it is our bots were doing and what needed to happen under the hood to get to the solutions that they wanted. She was like, I would like you to actually stay on this team permanently and build it out. That's how I became a customer success engineer. So it was again because of really good communication skills. You called it code switching before. Really, it's being multilingual. It's being able to talk to the engineers for a company. It's being able to talk to the CRO.
Students,
I hope my students same thing.
I hope.
It's being able to talk to different types of audiences about the very same thing and connect with them. So they realize, okay, you have a really good knack for that. So I started leaning into that. So that's how I've been able to just grow to do the kinds of things I'm doing right now, because I realized, hey, that's my advantage. So it's the communication, but it's also my ability to problem solve, which truly involves active listening. So a lot of times customers would come in and they'll tell you what their problem is, but they really don't know. So you have to be really good at listening to get to what the actual problem was. And that's one of the things I was really good at. And that came from training earlier. So I realized I was way better at that than being an engineer. So eventually that's what I leaned into. And that's why I'm customer facing and do that kind of work more so now.
Girl, you are again. I'm not surprised that we are on the same wavelength. I am also, and as much as people think that I'm this big IT guru, I am a. It's not. No, I am not. I am for the people. I like working with people. The machines were made to help people, not to help machines. And
100%.
so if you, it doesn't matter how intelligent and how great the machine is, if it doesn't result in a human being feeling it's adding value to them, it's useless. So at the end of the day, it's people centric. And with my students, I'm reminding them about the value of injecting creativity in what they're doing, because my ability to solve problems in IT was because of creativity. Because I'm able to think outside the box and come up with solutions that are not standard, right? And so,
oh my gosh, 100%.
So yeah, we are peas in a pod, and we're getting to know each other. So listen, I'm interested. You don't do back end stuff anymore because, in fact, I feel as though if you were to go into back end stuff now, having you experienced the customer facing type of stuff that you do, you may be bored. Am I correct?
I would be 100% bored. I don't even seek those positions anymore. I was just talking to a recruiter a couple of days ago, and I'm like, here's this really good position, but I was like, I just can't do that anymore. I like working and engaging with customers. I like doing like the problem solving. I like troubleshooting when something breaks. So I don't build our actual tools. I make our tools, and the solutions we make actually solve the problems for customers. And to me, that's where the fun is. And what most people don't realize is you can find a ton of software engineers who are technical, but it's much harder to find somebody who can communicate well, connect with the customer, and do this live problem solving and troubleshooting. So we actually get paid way much more than the back-end software engineers, which surprises people.
Because you guys make sure the customers don't ditch you guys and go somewhere else. So that's the value that you add. Keep the customers happy.
Yes. We keep ARR high, recurring revenue, and also our services are billable on top of contracts that they buy. Yeah.
So how has AI helped this industry that you're in? Has it made the back end jobs easier? Are they afraid of what is to come, especially for a company like Capacity? I know you're no longer there anymore, but what do you think?
Yeah. I don't know. And they're much connected to Capacity still, but Capacity is an AI company. So that's exactly what we do. So of course, AI is this like all encompassing like term, right? And there are tons of different tools. So our customers at Capacity absolutely like loved what it is that we did, because we removed barriers to the information that they needed. And another thing is we saved them a lot of time, because our bot could handle and store tacit information. So poor Mrs. Jones, who hasn't been able to take a vacation in 6 years, because when she leaves, all hell kind of breaks loose, because nobody else knows how to do this thing. Now you have that information. So we can remove tacit the reliance on tacit knowledge by, making sure that the bot has this information. You could increase efficiencies because the bot can automate things that a poor person might have to do manually all of the time. And we're not replacing jobs, because we just create spaces where people can focus on the things that they actually have expertise in and do. You'd be surprised how many times I've like sat down with companies and found there was just like so much time being wasted doing menial, mundane tasks that bots can do. So that's how AI can really like help companies like that. And also just we worked really big in the mortgage industry, and the mortgage industry is surprisingly very archaic. They had to be at desktop because everything that they did was like a server based. So we allowed them now to be in the the field and have their mobile device and have access to their loan operating systems, which was something that was unheard of in that year. And that's AI powered. So that's kind of like the power of AI for like some industries.
So, wow. So I've told my students to embrace it. I've told them that it's here to stay, and from an educational standpoint, I'm actually going to be in a workshop tomorrow, talking about learning about using these tools for education purposes. I can't wait to see what more I can learn. But I do want to spend a little bit more time sinking my teeth into this area because of the way that I think. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty of the data science and all that kind of stuff. I want to become just as you are at that interface, that proxy between problem and solution, and knowing what tools, and that is where the skill is for me and for some people and for some of my students. I guess they're gonna go along that route because not everyone is gonna be code. I have to teach code, even though coding is not something that I inherently enjoy. It's like telling someone, okay, you can write English. Can you write a book? No. But you can write English and you can speak English. It's an English book, but go and write the book. No, I can't write a book.
Being able to understand code is a really important tool, though. It's like when I'm, I have to troubleshoot something, I have to be able to dissect the Python scripts in our logs and things like that. And also at Capacity, we had to write code if I needed to take an API. APIs are not created equally. No. If an API from a customer does this, just gives me all the data, but I only want a piece of it, I can run through that data with a script and actually pull out and extract exactly what it is that I need. So I do things like that. And then also there are like the ability to be able to work with APIs and build APIs and understand what a JSON response looks like. These things are really valuable, even if you're just the technical consultant. Wow. So I don't have to necessarily build those models anymore, but I have to be able to consult an engineering team to be able to do that and use our tools in order to do so as well. So it's invaluable, but you don't have to. Yeah. You don't have to be doing that. Wow. Also there, one of the questions I got from a ton of students, like people like, I don't want to learn code, but I want to work in tech. There are so many opportunities to work in tech where you don't have to code. Customer success managers, product managers. Maybe you just have a really good idea for a game and you can lead an entire team to how that should look and every facet of it. That is what product managers do. And they get a lot of money as well too. Not to focus only on the money in tech, but there are tons of opportunities within tech where we need our voices in there as well too, that don't involve coding.
Wow. I hope they've pulled all of these nuggets. Apparently we have about 2-3 more minutes left.
Oh man,
I know
time flies.
I know when you're having a good time, it definitely flies.
Yeah.
So, I normally would end my show with rapid fire questions, just 10 questions I would typically ask my guests. But before I do that, I just want to once again say that I really appreciate you coming on board. I wasn't sure if you were going to say yes. People, I added her on Facebook. She didn't hesitate to add me back. I reached out to her on Messenger. She replied. I'm like, She replied. I'm like, what? This is unheard of, and you don't know me from Adam. And,
I saw your last name, though. Your brother.
Yeah, I know that. But still, you don't know me.
But I didn't know then. Yeah, I didn't know then.
Right. And so she just was, and I said, look, we should meet because I feel like we both can add value to whatever it is that we do. And that has still yet to be realized, but that will be realized over the next couple of months. Yeah. We'll see how we can work together.
We're connected now.
Right. So that's the butterfly effect. If you're familiar with that, people who are listening will know the butterfly effect. Small perturbations could lead to drastically different outcomes based on initial conditions. All right. I won't bore you guys with that. But you've been a stand-up guest, and I am so happy that we've created this amount of energy. This is what we do every week, by the way.
Okay,
and so we've had this for 100 episodes. So
congratulations again.
Thank you. All right, let's go to the rapid fire. 10 questions, first person, and you're good to go. All right. Number one, my superpower as a woman is?
My ability to connect with people.
We knew that already. Comfort food for me.
Comfort food. I love potatoes. I don't need to eat them, but anyway, fried, roasted, boiled, and smashed.
All right, next one. Something about St. Kitts that keeps tugging at me to come back.
Ooh. My family and opportunity to contribute.
Number 4, this country is on my bucket list that I haven't been to yet. Just can't
the
wait
Maldives.
Maldives. Okay. Number 5, a fruit that always puts a smile on my face.
Oh my gosh, the apple. And I did not get one when I was there last time.
You said sugar apple?
Sugar apple is my favorite thing in the world. Oh. And I haven't had one in years.
Wow. Should have known because I have 2 trees.
Oh my gosh.
I have 3 trees now. I know.
Okay. I know where to find you.
Yes. Number 6, working out. I have the song playing on repeat when I'm in the gym. Or anywhere, running, whatever, active.
Y'all gonna make me lose my mind.
All right. Number 7, my wardrobe is dominated with this color.
Oh gosh, it used to be bright, but it's black. Oh, I wear a lot of black lately.
Darkness. Okay.
I do.
Time travel back to Psyche as a 20-year-old. This is what I would say to her.
Gosh, I'm a software engineer. There's no way that is possible.
Number 9, and this one, you're going to like this one. The most idealistic problem that you, in your mind, imagination, can solve with tech, that you wish tech could solve.
Poverty. I feel like we should be able to eradicate it to zero. And I know what the books say, and I know what my training says, but poverty, it is our greatest ill.
Okay. And I think AI may be able to solve that, right?
Tech can help. I built my tool. I know we don't have a whole lot of time, so I won't even go into that.
No,
I built
don't.
my capstone project from my boot camp was a tool that helped match people that were living in poverty with the social services. Because what we're finding now, at least in the United States, that access via the documentation and the ability to apply for services is the number one reason why people aren't getting help. So I tried to make that piece easier with tech.
All right. So we're onto something. So we're saying that if we can find the silver bullet to eradicate poverty, then we have something that adds value to the whole world. So don't give up. I mean, I'm doing my part, with my stuff that I'm doing, but that's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
Number 10. I always end with this question. Best part about being on the show is...
It's host and the energy created here.
Oh, you're going to make me blush. You're going to make me lose my mind. Y'all going to make me lose my frown.
Seriously, I love the theme. I love the purpose. I love the audience you attract. It's a good show.
Thank you. Let me just give a shout out to everyone who was listening. Sulika was saying, good show. Kimon Archibald Lake was like, yes, congrats.
Hey, Kimon.
Yes, Kimon. My brother Jason was like, you remember? Asking if you remember him. Obviously,
Of
you
course,
do.
Jason.
And everybody, Tanshay, thank you. Everybody for just tuning in. It was just wonderful. And now my day is better as a result of the show. And as is
Mine
everybody
too.
else. That's what we do, is only good news. So this is not going to be the last you hear of us. I think we'll find our ways back to create some more energy. Now that we've connected, we will find some niche topics to just, bang our mouths about and give you guys some value, content. So till next week, I don't know who my guest is going to be, but I have an idea who I want. But till then, I just want all of you to remember to be kind and to spread love always. And thank you, Psyche, once again for being a part of this.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Happy Centennial.
Thank you. Woohoo!
Yay.
That was hot.